This week, our friends from StressLess Camping, Tony and Peggy Barthel, plus we talk about what 2022 is going to look like. This is the RV Miles podcast.
RV Miles is sponsored by LL Bean, dedicated to helping you experience all the benefits of time outside and stay more comfortable while you're out there. From soft and breathable activewear designed to do it all, to just right layers perfect for changing weather, to sun-smart clothing that blocks the sun's harmful rays, every LL Bean product is made with comfortable time outside in mind. Visit llbean.com to shop now. LL Bean. Be an outsider.
Welcome to episode 217 of the RV Miles podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm Abby, and we are two full-time travelers who have been crisscrossing North America since 2016 on one epic road trip. Here at RV Miles, we talk all things RV and outdoors, from travel destinations to industry news, our national parks, and so much more.
We are coming to you from Camp Verde, Arizona, in front of a live campsite audience. We are at our meetup, our first meetup at the Verde Ranch RV Resort, and we've been having a blast. Today is the last day, but we've been having campfires and circle chats and stuff like that, and it's been a blast.
Wait. Beer. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I give away your fresh tank? It has been an incredible 4 days. We cannot thank everyone enough that's here, and then all of you that I know wanted to attend but couldn't and have been so supportive. We'd also like to thank Verde Ranch RV Resort for hosting this. They have just been the perfect place to kick off what we hope will be the first of many to come.
Yeah. And we have Tony and Peggy with us here for the whole show, not just the interview segment.
No.
So we get to hear Tony's wonderful puns whenever.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm raising the bar real high.
You are.
Oh, man.
This is what happens. It's like when you say I'm prepping a mic for laughter. You're setting
you won't have
up.
any this time.
Now he's going to completely just be stone dead. He's not going to have anything to share with us.
I don't believe that. We're going to kick off the show today, though, talking about some 2022 travel trends that are predicted. This is a report that comes from Outdoorsy. Outdoorsy's one of the biggest RV rental marketplaces, and they do an annual report of what travel looks like for 2022. And spoiler alert, they don't think things are going to be letting down at all. In fact, they think there's going to be a slingshot effect in that there are still a lot of people that have been holding off on major travel and will be doing that next year. A lot of people that have booked vacations and just rescheduled them, and then they'll be doing them next year.
Yeah, I think their CEO even used the words revenge travel.
Yes.
Is what is coming for 2022. So if you thought things were slowing down, they're not. Why don't you go ahead and dive in? Give a few of the.
Yeah. So mainly this is about RV travel, but they've interviewed a lot of people and questioned them about travel in general. But they said that only 43% of their respondents say they chose to delay or suspend summer vacation plans they had this year. But they're thinking that means the other 57% did delay, and they're going to be doing it next year, right?
Yeah.
People really care about cleanliness now and self-contained travel. Even if they're not worried about the pandemic anymore, even if they're not concerned about, picking up the virus for whatever reason, there's still just this overall sense of like, yeah, but I don't like that hotel room. I just want my own bed and sheets with me and stuff like that.
They just like their own germs.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, they like their own mess.
I think there's also this issue in the hotel industry where there's a labor shortage, and a lot of hotels are not cleaning your room every day now. you have to request it or wait for 3 days to get your bed sheets changed. You know.
Well, I think in some respects too, there has been, and actually there was a recent comment that was shared with us on YouTube where someone was talking about that they just traveled a road trip. They did not take their Airstream with them. They did hotel stays the whole time, and he kind of laid it out that based on what he paid on that travel for the hotel, it actually still would have worked out cheaper and more enjoyable, he figured, if he had pulled the Airstream, paid that extra fuel, and paid for the campgrounds. It would have worked out that he would have saved money, even though it would have taken him a longer amount of time. So I think that is coming a little bit into play too. But one of the things I found most interesting about the report was that the number of new RVers predicted for next year was still incredibly
Yeah, they say that
high.
first-time campers remain the rule, not the exception. So in 2021, 67% of Outdoorsy's web traffic stemmed from first-time RVers. And most of that, the vast majority, is millennials and Gen X aged folks. But they expect that to continue, that most people that are RVing, that are new to RVing, are going to be younger, and that there are going to be a lot more new RVers still. People keep asking us about, when the used market is going to soften up and that sort of stuff. And they say that they see people selling off their RVs that bought them during COVID and now they're done with them. But the reality is there's still like 3 buyers for every seller.
Sure.
And it's really insane.
And I would say, in your community, do you all feel over at StressLess Camping that you're seeing an increase of new RVers joining and being a part of this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even like at this weekend that we've been together, think of how many people around us, like several people I helped back in, they were like, it's our first time out. And I'm like, oh, well, if you have any questions. But yeah, I mean, it's the number of first timers is insane. And I think a lot of the people potentially selling off rigs might be, they went to a dealer and the choice was take it or leave it, as opposed to, 5 models. And they're like, well, it doesn't fit us now, but maybe we can trade up to one that really fits us. Or they placed an order and that may have finally come in. And now they're like, oh, good, I can get the one I really wanted.
Right. And maybe it'll be that secret forest river that's
That thing is slick looking.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Well, if you check out this week's news video, I shared a TikTok that Forest River put out. If you're uninitiated, TikToks are vertical short videos.
Did you think even last year
that I would say that
you'd
no.
have sentences that start with they shared a TikTok, and that's where we're getting some of our news now?
This thing has over 2.5 million views, and it is a walkthrough of a new fifth wheel style that looks unlike anything I've ever seen before.
The bathroom is unbelievable.
It's huge,
Gorgeous.
first of all, but incredible bathroom, beautiful living space and bedroom. But then the front, underneath the fifth wheel cap, is like a almost toy hauler thing. They've got a ramp under there and huge underbelly storage.
Wow.
Yeah, in the front of the fifth wheel.
I know, and I just need that now to have like a bunk option.
Well, that's where the bunks go.
Oh, is that? So the ramp is for the children. So at the end of the day, the children just ramp up and
ride their bikes right up into bed.
What? I'm fine with that. Probably cut down on some of the sway when they wake up in the morning. That'd be fantastic.
And the furniture was orange. Or at least it appeared
Well, it was
to
like
be.
a blood.
Like a rust color.
I think it was
almost.
like rust color leather.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, wow, they found a color other than brown.
Yeah. So we will link to this breaking news TikTok for you.
Forest River is if you're on TikTok, all they do almost
They got the lock on
is
it.
these real quick walkthroughs of all their units, and it's actually kind of a great way to shop because you can just keep going through them and see these 30-second, 1-minute walkthroughs of RVs, and they're some of them are really gorgeous, like that one. So.
Yeah, so we will link to that at the show notes at rvmiles.com/217. You can go over and check it out for yourself.
Okay, it is time to take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about our friends Tony and Peggy and their wonderful StressLess Camping podcast and website.
We'll be right back. Find your next camping adventure with the Spot Tonight app. Spot Tonight offers real-time visibility across numerous campgrounds available for immediate booking. Easy to use and free to download, with Spot Tonight you can build a traveling profile, share parks with friends via messaging, and mark your favorite campgrounds. Travelers can search for specific parks that meet their exact needs for tonight and beyond. No more blind searches in hopes of finding an available spot. Simply look, book, and go. Campground owners, download the Spot Tonight app and see how your park can join a vastly expanding network. For more information, visit spottonight.com or simply download the app in the Apple or Google Play stores. Look, book, and go with Spot Tonight. Travel may seem a bit confusing right now, but Out Travel the System is here to help. The podcast, brought to you by Expedia, is full of tips and tricks from experts so you can hack your travel. Have confidence as you plan your next road trip adventure or dream vacation thanks to Out Travel the System. Subscribe today on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this show.
We're back with our friends Tony and Peggy Barthel from StressLess Camping, and we have been fans of you two for a very long time. Your podcast is, well, it's exactly what it's titled. It really helps people, get through camping in ways
and not stress.
with like tips and advice and all kinds of great stuff, because there is sometimes some stress in camping, right?
You're
No,
kidding.
There sure can be.
No.
So what made you think of approaching the type of work you do from that angle?
Well, I used to work at an RV dealership, and I managed I did sales and warranties. And one of the things that was common was the same question over and over and over. And I thought, God, I'd like to have a resource to send these people so that you could get those questions answered, just like one place where it's easily obtainable. And so then I got the brilliant idea to quit the RV dealership and start that. And then the pandemic came, and now they're making more money than they know how to spend.
And you were thinking, I'm curious about how the podcast, who brought that to who, and what was the initial response? Because when at our house, it was Jason brought it to me and I said no immediately. and then he kept kind of just on me about it, and I eventually said yes. And then he brought another podcast and I said no. And then he brought another podcast and I said no. And they always end up becoming podcasts. So I'm curious, at your house, who was the idea initiator, and then what was that initial response?
So it helps to know that Tony has listened to talk radio, which is old-fashioned podcasts,
Yeah,
right?
like podcasts
So
on
you
the
have
radio.
to listen to when they do it.
Yes.
But he's been a talk radio kind of person his whole life, and he had a podcast before this.
Yes.
About vintage cars and cars. And so when he said, should we do a camping podcast? I said, well, you obviously know how to do a podcast. All I have to do is put my tips in about camping. Sure, I can I can do that.
Peggy is having to deal with me. Peggy is very easygoing and able to withstand a lot of stupidity in her life.
And I'm guessing you do a lot more than just insert your tips now.
Well, when we first started the podcast, I actually had a full-time job. So pretty much all I did was insert my helpful tips.
Yeah.
And then I left my job to make it grow and make it better. And so, yeah, I do more than just insert a few tips.
Well,
now.
yes, because I ran into you at the laundromat at the campground we were at in Albuquerque, and you were multitasking. You were doing laundry and editing a podcast at the exact same time. And then I thought, wow, I should really learn how to edit these podcasts.
You could do it in the laundromat, and that way
Right.
you could
Look, I could
clean up in the podcast business.
Oh, boy.
Exactly. There it was.
I'm so happy.
Oh, man.
One.
Yeah, we should have a counter.
Yeah.
One, ding.
So God, that was so bad. So you used to have a classic car podcast, right?
Yeah. And that was fun.
What led you to leave that and move to camping?
I set a financial goal. It had to quit losing money after a specific period of time, and it just was hemorrhaging money. So I was like, all right, well, it's not gonna. And it was fun. I got to meet some of the just A-list car people in the in the vintage car world. So I love old cars and old RVs and just all that classic car scene. But it was, it's, if you look at it as a hobby, it's like, all right, I'm spending money on a hobby. But I thought, well, maybe there might be a market for this. And no.
No. Not in the podcast world anyway. So, well, I'll just ask another one.
Sure.
Okay.
You're welcome to ask questions. I'm not like, you're the one that said you can't ask questions. I'm here.
This is only in 217 episodes, maybe the fourth time I've participated in an interview.
Yeah.
So I feel very much like, do I need to pass it to you and then you pass it to me?
No, but it does ruin the flow a little bit when you ask me if you can ask a question. So.
You should get like a ball. Here,
I have no, you know what? I have
this
no,
is the question
marker.
hat.
and you know what? I have no question.
Yeah.
You go for it, sir. Keep that flow going.
So you have the podcast, but you guys also have a fantastic website with some great articles with lots of information. You both write a lot of articles, and Tony, you also write quite a bit as a freelancer, mainly for RV travel, doing these great daily, I don't know how you do this,
Every single
daily
day.
RV reviews. How did that come about, and what is it like to review RVs so prolifically?
And remotely, too.
And on the road.
When I was selling RVs, there was a lot of things people would come in and say, well, what about this? And then there didn't seem to be a good resource for letting people know, really this kind of suspension is a whole lot better, or whatever the thing is. I ran into Chuck Woodbury at Quartzsite 2 years ago, and we were talking, and he said, well, if you ever want to contribute something, I said, how about writing about RVs? And he's like, all right. And so
I don't know
here
that
it is.
Tony knew it was going to be every single day.
Every day, including like Christmas and New Year's and there is no one day off.
Wow. What a
But-
business meeting that sounds like.
No,
too.
it was just like a casual. I'm like, I had followed Chuck since his Out West days.
Wow.
He was like traveled in a Class C and wrote this newspaper called Out West. And I mean, from an RV I think it was in the 80s or 90s.
Mm-hmm.
It was a while back. So I've known of Chuck so it was really neat to meet him, because I'm like, I used to
And then
subscribe to your newspaper.
And now he needs 365 articles from you.
Well,
Every single day.
I really love your RV reviews specifically for that reason. It's impossible to like go out and camp in an RV and spend a week in it and actually do a review that way, but you're able to sort of know all the ins and outs of these things from a former dealer's perspective and be able to look at it and say, really, it's kind of got a smaller axle than it should, or that sort of thing. And that's kind of the stuff that is hard to find on the internet,
One of the things I find so impressive about the two of you is the amount of content that you are able to generate and how quickly you are able to generate it, but not in a way where it's just like, a few hundred words and you throw it out and then, you're just really looking to get like the clicks. You're really looking to like inform people, right? You really want to help them have a better experience. And this is something Jason and I talk about all the time when it comes to the two of you. We are so impressed with that ability to write as quick as you do. I find that so incredible. And I'm curious, like, is that, with your work ethic, is that just something that
They don't have 3 kids. So
We
Yeah,
don't
that's-
have 3
No,
kids.
that's
That's
true.
true.
No,
you know
yeah,
what?
but
I don't
it's-
think that that's a good enough excuse
No,
sometimes
you're right.
for
You're
us.
right.
But
And that is what I love about you guys too. Is that it's not only there are a lot of content creators out there that are prolific and write stuff very quickly, but it's like 500 word articles that are really thin, and you
Yes.
do go into a lot of depth of information for people, and I really appreciate that, and I think a lot of people that read those things do too.
well, and what I wanted to go with that and what I wanted to ask was, has that been something that came easy to you, or was that something that as you got into this, you've had to learn and get a little bit more comfortable with, because this didn't come easy to me. Like, it doesn't come easy to me to sit down and write some of the articles that need to be written, or, you know, put together some of the show notes and things like that for the podcast, which I'm actually behind on. Like, those things I kind of sometimes really have to make myself sit down and do it. But it seems like for the two of you that it just comes so natural. And I'm curious if that's the case.
I think for
We're
you,
extremely different.
we're so different. And so for him, it's super easy.
Well, it's
I
one of
perceive
my
it as
very
his...
few talents on the planet is, and it has been since I was in college and took journalism, I can write very quickly. It's just, you know, if you have to have one talent, there's mine.
That's a great talent to have, actually, in this industry.
It is what it is. I can, like this morning, I got up at 5 and I had 2 RV reviews done by the time
I
Peggy woke up.
Wow.
And so that helps too, is that we have our separate sort of quiet times. So he gets that 2 hours or whatever in the morning that he wakes up like with words already spewing out, and he just starts typing them out. And I wake up and 3 hours later and can't say good morning until I have a coffee.
So here's how
that's me. Don't talk to me.
I'm like one of those Top Fuel dragsters. I wake up and it's like down the line. Peggy's like a diesel engine in a ship.
Just go and go and go and go
But
and go.
once it's going,
I'm slow and plodding,
going.
but I go until
can't stop it.
I would say that's Jason, and that's me. I mean, I make a beeline for the coffee pot, and then it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
But
let's get it done.
I like to research what I do, so I'm better at the kind of research papers as a geologist, right? And so I can't just write words. I have to look up everything. I said to somebody yesterday, I can say Mount St. Helens is a volcano, but I literally, not literally on this example, but I will go and verify online that Mount St. Helens is a volcano before I put it in something I write. I'm so...
Because you don't
like
want
I
people
need so
to
much
erupt
research.
with anger if
There is not as much written content that you see on our website by me, because Tony just is really good at putting words out, and I need to take the time, and mine tend to be longer, but they're also really well researched. And
Well, yeah, Peggy has a master's in geology, so she's good at focus and study. And me, I have the attention span of a squirrel. So if I don't get the article done quickly, it's like,
You don't-
what was I writing?
But I
Immediate
do write
nut.
like the notes for our podcast to prepare us for the podcast, because again, if we're going to talk about volcanoes, I need to have some information what volcanoes are. And so so I tend to be the more backstage, you know.
You're the stage manager
Yeah,
of this whole
yes.
thing. Now, here's a pro tip. We don't credit ourselves for articles. We just put them as RV Miles editor. Then nobody knows
Yeah.
who wrote it. So, you know, you could be reading it, and is it Jason? Is it Abby? Nobody knows. And so, see, you could start doing that, and then they could be like, was that Peggy? Was that
Well,
was
they'll
that
just
Tony?
always assume it was Tony.
That's
then.
true, yeah.
Oh, this is true.
Especially knowing that he writes so much more, they'll just always assume he wrote it.
This is very true. RV Miles is often, especially the YouTube channel, it's Jason and then ... that other person.
Let's talk a bit about your camping life and your backstory. What got you guys into camping and what you travel in and all that sort of stuff.
So I have been camping since I was conceived. My
how it
parents
started.
on my parents'
That's real
honeymoon.
specific.
My parents' honeymoon, they went camping. I was born 9 months later. So I've
Beauty of the woods.
it's always been my family is a camping family.
Yeah.
My whole entire life, my geology schooling was camping, and so I have always camped.
When I was a kid, we would go to the Pomona Fair every year. And at the Pomona Fair is all the stuff that is typically at a fair, like pigs and horses and rides and all that. But they also have RVs, or at least they did then. And all the other people who we would go with would go to see the animals or ride the rides. I would make a beeline for the RVs. And I was that annoying little kid that would just go and like open all the doors. And I was fascinated by them. And so then Tonka came out with this Winnebago. It was a metal Tonka Winnebago, and I washed cars and saved up. I still have it.
Oh wow.
I still
That's
have
amazing.
it
Yeah.
all these years later. It's the logo for our podcast. Is that
okay.
Tonka Winnebago?
Tonka talking on a microphone
Yeah.
with headphones.
Oh, that's
And so then when we were first together, we had a pop-up trailer, and then we moved and bought a bed and breakfast, so we couldn't camp.
Yeah, we couldn't
so we
go
sold the
anywhere.
trailer. Then when we sold the bed and breakfast, we had a cargo trailer because we had done another business that needed a small cargo trailer. We
And I'm like,
camped.
hey, I could turn that
we
into a
put
camper.
cots in the cargo trailer and camped locally in that. We didn't travel.
You could hear the banjos from a mile away.
And then we finally bought our mini light, our
Yeah.
Rockwood mini light. It's a 1905. They don't make them anymore. It's 16-foot travel trailer. And we started camping because we both still had full-time jobs then. So we camped. We did weekend things. And then Tony said the word boondocking. He's like, let's boondock. And I said, oh, no. This camper has all these amenities. Why would we do something like that? And it took him a really long time before finally my head said, you've literally boondocked your entire life.
Yeah.
We never went to campgrounds when I was growing up. Well, I didn't know campgrounds existed. I just didn't call it boondocking. I called it camping, and I didn't know that I was boondocking.
Yeah.
So that word scared me for a long time. And so that is why it's a topic that I love to talk about.
Yeah.
Don't be scared just because it's a word you haven't used.
Especially in the places where you can't see other people. It's like, well, the wineries or just a lot of the like Harvest Hosts type of locations where
Or state parks.
Yeah, state parks where you're just not, where I can't hand a cup of sugar out the window to the next guy.
Do those places still exist, Bill? Honestly.
You two are two of the only RV content creators I know that are Californians and on the West Coast. There's so many of us on the eastern half of the country, and I think that's so great that we often talk to people that are saying, when are you going to get out west? Now we've been out west a lot, but they would always say, when are you going to get out west and cover the places that we like to go and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, now they all want us to go east. When
Now
are
they
you
all
going
want us to
east?
go back
When are you-
east,
And
yeah.
we're like,
And on the other hand, we talked a lot about the places we went, which when we were still working or just stopped working was by necessity always in the West. And someone said, well, you only talk about the West. Why don't you give the other half of the country some love? So
'Cause that's where we are.
Yeah.
it's
yeah, we just told them to
driving
listen to
3,000
you
miles.
instead.
Pretty, like, within 100 miles of where our house is at the moment, there's like the redwoods and the ocean, and there's so many great places to camp that you could literally like just camp in that area and have such a variety of, like in the summer, if it's hot, you go to the coast and it'll go from 100 degrees inland to 60 degrees. And you're like, oh, this is so great. Or in the winter, you could drive south to Quartzsite, and it's pretty cool. So it's hard to leave, but not impossible.
but not impossible.
All right, give us the rundown of where everybody can find you, and then we'll take a break, and you're going to stick around with us for a Fresh Tank, Black Tank, and we've got some tanks from you folks as well.
Yeah, it's a
We have some
tankless
tanks,
job, and
yeah.
somebody's got to do it.
Oh,
Just find us at StressLess Camping. From there, you can jump off to all the social and everywhere else that we are, but that's our home on the web.
So stresslesscamping.com is where you are going to find these two. We will also link to it in the show notes at rvmiles.com/217. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For continuing to stick around so we don't have to do this by ourselves. We really appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
Electrical surge protection is one of the cheapest insurance policies you can provide for your RV, and the Power Watchdog Smart Surge Protector, made by Hughes Autoformers, beats the competition with field replaceable surge modules. With other brands, when the surge protector takes a large surge or a spike, you have to throw it away. The Power Watchdog can be brought back to life with one small affordable part you can replace yourself. They'll even give you a free surge module in the first 2 years and now have a limited lifetime warranty. Use the coupon code RV Miles, all one word, for 10% off your order at HughesAutoformers.com. That's code RV Miles for 10% off at HughesAutoformers.com. Fall is around the corner, so it's time to start thinking about prepping for the winter off-season. Whether you own a motorhome, a travel trailer, or a truck camper, EmpireCovers.com is here to help protect all your vehicles against Mother Nature. EmpireCovers.com offers high-quality, affordable covers that are engineered to protect. Every cover comes with a free multi-year warranty to guarantee that it remains durable over time. If you're not in need of a full cover, Empire has just launched a line of RV rooftop covers that keep the roof of your RV clean and protect it from UV rays. Listeners can receive free shipping and 60% off the original price of their cover order. Visit EmpireCovers.com/RV Miles or use promo code MILES60 at checkout. EmpireCovers.com. Protect what you love.
Okay, we are back, and now it is time to check the levels of our tanks with our Fresh Tank, Black Tank segment. Jay, what is in your black tank this week?
So my black tank is this ad that I keep getting from Good Sam on Facebook. I'm getting it. I'm not kidding. Every day, it's probably because I clicked on it and commented on it. They keep showing it to me again. But so they have an ad going around for their tire protection service. You know, you pay them an annual fee, and if you have a flat tire or a blown tire, they'll replace it. But the ad says it has two claims in it that I thought were a little bit dubious. The first one is that there are 220,000 flat tires in the U.S. every year. I thought that sounded crazy, but it's actually true, apparently, according to government statistics. That's a lot of flat tires. But the other claim that's on it that it blows my mind, it says that the average RV tire costs $500. And that there's just no planet where that is true in the slightest. Like the very most expensive RV tires on a big Class A might cost you up to $500, but even on our bus, I think we paid like $350 for some really beastie name brand tires.
I can't talk about that. that was so much money.
But the average tire is not $500, and I don't know where that came from, but that's my black tank.
Well, I know where it came from. It's the desire to get you to click,
exactly.
and
Right.
they want you to sign up for their program. So, all right, what is in your fresh tank this week?
My fresh tank is my grandfather. My grandfather passed away a few days ago. He was 96 years old, and he was a World War II veteran, was at the D-Day invasion. We were there at my grandparents' house a couple of years ago, and my dad showed me this little military issue pocket Bible he had. And it was sort of like half Bible, half journal type deal. And then he just has on one page, it just says, participated in D-Day invasion, and that's all it says. But he was a World War II vet. He was a firefighter for 30 years. He owned an ice cream store and ate a bowl of ice cream every day until the day he died before bed, and taught me how to eat lots of ice cream and put sugar on my cereal and all that sort of stuff. He was a boxer, a football player, a real estate agent. He had all kinds of crazy jobs, but still had like these very long careers. So he was an amazing man. I was so lucky to have him for as long as I did, and I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah, and so I only had the pleasure of knowing him for about 15 years, but it became very clear that just within hours of meeting him that, you know, in a way he was the grandfather I think we all wish that we would have. He was so proud of his grandkids and his great-grandkids, and we feel, you know, sad, but we at the same time are so thankful that we had him for as long as we did. And because of it, we have decided to cancel the rest of our travels for the year, and we will actually leave here tomorrow to start the 1,500.
That's a little more than 15 miles. This is going to be a long way.
I know. I'm trying not to think
We
about
are going to be camping in Illinois in November.
Yes.
And early December too.
Yeah,
It's going to be something.
But we are going to go home and be with family, because that's really what we want to do, so we can go home and celebrate the life of your grandfather.
Yeah.
So he was just absolutely incredible. All right, I'm going to throw it to our guests, and I'm going to ask Peggy, what is in your black tank this week?
My black tank filled my gray tank. My black tank is the brand new 0G water hose. I know a lot of people have them and love them. We got some kind of a lemon. We've had it less than a month, and it's like spraying. I could take a shower out of the spray that's coming out of the hose. And like literally we were starting to have slight problems with that generic white hose that we bought 5 years ago. We got a new one. We threw away the white one. The white one was better than what we're dealing with now.
You're wishing you had the white one back
The
now.
only good thing is we just got a brand new portable gray tank from Thetford, and so we have it full of fresh water. So I didn't want all that water just flowing onto the ground.
Yeah.
So we have it full of fresh water, so we'll probably transfer it into our fresh tank for our boondocking.
Because you've never used
You've
it.
never-
yet.
Never used it. Right, exactly.
And
It
thus
has
far
not
it's
had
not-
any gray or black water in it.
Let us please establish. that
Brand new out of the box.
I don't care how good our filter is.
Yeah, no.
We're not going to put it to that test.
Well, what is in your fresh tank this week besides that water sitting in the Thetford tote?
You guys,
Oh,
RV
our
Miles,
fresh
the
tank is you
meetup,
guys.
this meetup. This has been so wonderful, and we've made some fantastic new friends. And just this is stressless camping, getting out
Yeah.
and going to campgrounds and meeting people and sitting around a campfire and going for beers together. And
Yeah.
so this is our first like really social thing that we've done, really as our full-time job, because I left my job right before COVID hit. So this is the first time we've been able to do a group thing. And thank you
Yeah,
to
and
you
we really
both for
appreciate
putting
your
it
allowing
together.
us to crash your
Yes,
party.
that
Oh, you
too.
didn't crash.
Thrilled to have you.
Yeah, and everyone sitting here is welcome at our campfire every day. This has just been such a treat, and it has been made better because of all of you. I mean, we sit in a campsite all the time, every single day, and it's boring. But this has been, and I mean that, and I love you. I don't mean happy birthday. But I just mean that it has the energy that has been brought here by all of these people. You know what, Tony?
Keep hanging yourself. Dig the hole.
What's in your black tank? Save me, please.
Okay, I think the overselling of how crowded and unavailable camping is, yeah, there are challenges, but there are ways around it. You don't go to Disneyland on the anniversary of the opening, right? Because it's going to be crowded. So go another day.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't go to the big 5 parks, maybe. Some of the others, as you guys have said in America's national parks, there's some great places out there. So, I still think there's a lot of great RVing and opportunity out there. And especially some websites just are selling the overcrowding like
The
mad.
disaster.
And I've literally heard like Camp Mageddon or whatever. It's like, it's crowded, but not that bad.
No, it is, and we've talked about this extensively. We've done even a video on it, like, ignore the hype. You can still find a campground.
You got to be flexible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty about this lifestyle, and the fact that you have a home that is on wheels, or you have something that you can travel with for your vacations, is that you can be flexible with that. You didn't buy the plane tickets that are taking you only to, XYZ location. You have this unit that you can take, that if you find, this campground or this particular area I want to go to, this isn't the year for Yellowstone, or
Right.
whatever. Oh, but maybe this is the year for somewhere else. And that thing you said about the national parks, I mean, we feel that way too, in the sense that, yes, those Big 10 are amazing. Everyone wants to go to Great Smoky Mountain National Park because for a lot, it's the most convenient place to get to. But there are some amazing national monuments and even national parks. There's 63 national parks at this point.
There's a lot of challenges we were talking about earlier. There's a lot of challenges to other forms of travel as well. There's the hotels that aren't cleaning your room. There's rental car shortages. You could have a flight somewhere and then you arrive at the airport and they have no rental cars available even though you booked one.
There was recently, I was in some Zoom meeting, and one of the people had had to travel to Hawaii for business, and they rented a U-Haul because they couldn't get a car.
What?
Yeah, they were
Wow.
driving around in a U-Haul box truck.
On Hawaii.
Yeah, in Hawaii, in a
Wow.
U-Haul.
That's an Instagram picture if ever
Yeah, right.
I've seen one.
What's in your fresh tank this week?
Fresh tank is, we shared it. It's,
Oh, they had-
you have a joint fresh
we had
tank.
a
It was
joint
our-
yeah,
fresh
joint
tank.
fresh tank.
It's
They
a
did.
big,
so
it's a high
big,
capacity
it
fresh
wouldn't
tank.
fit. Yeah.
Yeah, theirs is like a 90-gallon.
Abby, what is in your black tank this week?
So my black tank is kind of a follow-up to a story from earlier this year, and that is the story that came out of Utah about General RV and the claim that there were some people who had noticed some discrepancies on their loan payments. And
It was supposed to be. They thought they were getting a 20-year loan.
Yes.
It was 20. It was the payments were the size that you would make for 20 years, but after 10 years, there was a balloon payment for like $100,000.
There was some smudging, and the paperwork at the bank looked different than the paperwork that they had and the dealer and whatever. So we finally kind of got some results from the state of Utah after their investigation has concluded. And they have been able to say pretty conclusively that there was some manipulation and there was fraud on the part of 4 employees at the dealership at the time. The hiccup to all of this is that it is now outside the statutes of limitations. So there's only 4 years, and all of this took place between 2013 and 2015. And those RV owners only have 4 years in order to make a claim that, something, and to file a lawsuit. And so General RV and these 4 employees, which it has come out that there were dozens of loan documents.
One of the employees even said that there were thousands of loans done that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that, so all of this has come out, and there will be absolutely no repercussions for anyone.
They're not
involved in
even
this.
naming the
No.
4 employees, and those 4 employees, a couple of them still work in financing at
Yes.
other RV
Yeah,
dealerships.
that's
Oh,
crazy.
man.
I don't know. Now, they didn't say other RV dealerships.
somewhere,
They just
yeah.
said financing,
Yeah.
so I think that's important. But one of the things I find really, really frustrating about, well, 2 things actually. It was the credit unions and the banks that helped make this right for the individuals with these loan papers. General RV has done nothing. And their initial response at the beginning of this was, we did an exhaustive internal investigation. We found absolutely no fraud whatsoever. And so I find that really hard to believe when the state of Utah only needed I think they've maybe taken 5 months to go through, and they found as many dozens as they found. And I find it very hard to believe that General RV could have done such an extensive investigation.
They're covering their
Yeah,
butts
I mean,
and-
it's that was a pretty standard response. I'm not surprised by it. I think that I find it just kind of gross that they've done nothing on their end to even sort of take responsibility or help these people out. And sure, we can debate all we want about whether or not you should be taking a 20-year loan out on an RV. That's not the point of this particular conversation. But I think it's really black tank gross. Like, I don't like it. And I think it's going to be unfortunate because I bet there are some really good General RV dealerships out in the country. But I think that now this particular name is going to have this attached to it for a whole lot of reasons.
What's in your fresh tank?
So my fresh tank this week goes to you because it's your birthday today, and I wanted to say that you rung in your birthday sitting out in the living room editing this week's news video. That's how you ushered in a new year for you. And I think that just, and now here we're sitting here doing this, and I wish I could say you weren't going to work tonight, but I know you will work tonight, and I know you will edit this podcast and do what you need to do. And I think that just shows a level that you are always thinking about your family, even on a day when you should be thinking about yourself. So I just wanted you to know how much the kids and I value you and appreciate you. So happy birthday. Sorry for saying I thought you were boring earlier. I didn't mean it. I'll
Jason
later.
rang in his birthday doing that because he's a gifted editor.
That was a little stretchy.
It was a stretch.
The pun was that gifts are for birthdays. That's what he was going for.
Yeah,
I think that one needed an explanation. It was so bad.
I took
But
it.
it's still 4.
I took it as a straight up compliment.
Yes, yeah, and it was meant as.
Look, the editing's not so fun, but I love sitting here doing this. This is a lot of fun. I wouldn't spend my birthday any other way than with friends and with the RV Miles community and my family. So thank you. It's already been a great birthday. So that's
then I'm done. I don't need to do anything more today. That's great. Good to know. All right.
That's it for
fantastic.
this episode of the RV Miles podcast, coming to you from the Verde Ranch RV Resort in front of a live studio audience.
Yes. Our deepest thanks to Tony and Peggy for joining us today. And as always, just a quick reminder, if you are enjoying the RV Miles podcast, could you do us a favor? Head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Your review is helping put RV Miles in front of a whole new generation of RVers. And it does seem like there's going to continue to be a whole new generation of RVers, and we really want to talk to them. So if you have any questions for Jason and I, the best place to find us is in the RV Miles Facebook group. We try to be in there every single day. We would love to chat with you. And of course, just a reminder, it is holiday season and we all like to shop on Amazon. So if you are headed over to Amazon, please take RV Miles with you. Just start at amazon.com/shop/RV Miles. And that's it. Until next week, be well. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and keep logging those RV miles.
Bye, everybody.